This live stream may or may not be for you. I repeat, this live stream may or may not be for you. If you're hearing this message at this time, though, more than likely you're probably watching the replay. Welcome to the replay. You know, for those people that have been here live, thank you for coming live. So let's get right into it. As I try to look for the light, search for the light. Consider this: immigration in the United States of America. Make sure I got anything out. Um, it's kind of crazy, as it pertains to immigration right now. In the United States of America. It's a touchy subject. Because so many people are affected. Yeah, of course, there's legal immigration and then there's illegal immigration. So there's different ways to approach this matter. And come at it. Oh, also to those people that come live or people that see this in the replay, welcome to the late shift with Mel Mel. This is the late shift. A little bit later than usual, but it's 3 a.m. in the morning. So I forgive you if you're not here right now at this moment. But, a young man will talk, myself will talk about, immigration in the United States. Of course, there's the legal way of coming in and whatnot, which is a challenge, because what they don't talk to you about when it comes to coming in legally, a lot of times they want you to do something fantastic or great or, be like a great business person or, maybe you're a scientist or something or a teacher, or somebody that has something to contribute to society. So if you wait on that regard to, be somebody who can contribute to society, it may be a while before you actually get into the country, and there's still regular people that get into the country, children and families and stuff like that. It's just a long, lengthy process. And, they do favor people who have, a lot more going on for them. A physicist will get into the country legally, quicker than somebody, who may not be a physicist or unemployed or whatever, trying to get into the country. There's a screening process, a lengthy screening process. Not perfect, not great, but it is what it is. Why I take the time out to talk about immigration because it's not going anywhere. Then you have the sanctuary cities and things of that nature that people are worried about and whatnot. And there's immigration all over the world, legal and illegal. I mean, I probably should have said this is about illegal immigration, but anytime we talk about immigration, it's actually a touchy subject because automatically people go to the illegal side of it. With people coming into the country undocumented, taking jobs that probably Americans didn't want anyway. Not to say that I'm trying to make the case for illegal immigration, but there's a lot of cheap labor that comes in with undocumented workers and stuff like that. There's people that get sold into slavery, day laborers, sex workers, all kinds of things that can happen on that front, on that note, and it's not always the easiest thing to go about, doing, to be that, there's people that get extorted and stuff like that, these particular things happen. So you have to really watch yourself and be careful, when it comes to that. And I think one of the things that a lot of people may not understand, being illegal immigrants coming into the country, it's kind of crazy because you don't have any rights and you are coming across the border, and if you did get killed, there may be a funeral and stuff like that. But it's kind of crazy how it works out. Technetic Beats, thank you for coming through. I'm just talking about immigration, just the pros and the cons, the ramifications of it, the things that happen. I mean, different people come, families are united, able to take care of their country back, their country, take care of their family back in another country. But although it's illegal, so there's different ways to look at it. The con to it a lot of times is that people don't want to go through the process, and then if you're in the country undocumented, and then you do step up for the legalization of it and try to do that, you may get deported and sent back to your country, and then there's things going on back in your country that may not be too favorable depending on where you're coming from. Because more than likely, when I talk about immigration, with the U.S., a lot of times you think of Mexico. It's terrible right now. Immigration is how they kidnap the kids. Yes, that's what they're saying. A lot of people are saying that, and it is Lama Master. Thank you, Lama Master, my fellow insomniac brother. Yes, right now, it is something where they're saying that's how they actually, kidnap the kids and do all that stuff. My fan is falling over. Let me fix my fan. Let me fix my fan as I speak to my other fans. But anyway, yeah. that's just saying that also too with a lot of these missing children and stuff like that. There is some issues as far as children disappearing and being kidnapped and taken off for a ride and stuff like that. Unfortunately, these are things that are happening and whatnot. People lose their rights and become dehumanized, because of the situation and stuff like that. It's not fair, but it happens. There's opportunities all around. People stand to profit. I've said many times, the reason I think immigration or illegal immigration hasn't gone away and disappeared is because there are people that actually have profited and continue to profit off of the exploitation of undocumented workers or people who don't have rights. So then there's the sanctuary cities. Right now Trump has in New York has cut off certain federal money for New York because New York is a sanctuary city. So for those people who don't understand what a sanctuary city is that when an undocumented worker gets not kidnapped, gets arrested, a lot of the times the crimes are not reported to the federal government unless it's a really violent, crime, something maybe on a federal level, or a sex offender or drug trafficking or something like that, something, gang related or something, and maybe that would be reported. TechNet Big says then the kids don't have their families trying to get them back, released to sponsors who are the traffickers. Yes, this is true. There's a lot of things that come out of the immigration, the illegal side of it. The trafficking, human trafficking of people, drug mules and stuff like that. The sex trade and stuff like that. So many different negative things that come from it. And then there's people that are just trying to make a better way. Some people taking advantage. It's a very contentious issue because then on the flip side of it, you have the American citizens who say, you know what, I'm working hard, I'm trying to do my thing, I'm putting forth my effort to make everything work, and then here comes this undocumented worker, here comes this family, they're getting advantages, they're taking advantage of the system and stuff like that, and there's people who feel a type of way about it, and I can't say that they're wrong for feeling a type of way, but then it becomes a dicey situation when it comes to separating families separating families, basically separating kids from their families. And then when you separate the kids from the families and they become, you know, sex slaves or drug mules or something like that, then people may want to get into that. I don't know. Malama Maza says liberals actually protest against ICE agents while ICE agents was busting the child trafficking ring. Wow. Yeah, I heard about that, Lama Master. Now that's when things get a little bit out of hand. I think what we need to do on the situation is just to hear out all sides, and before we start to, make and pass any judgments, whether folks are illegal or folks are legal, or this is a trafficking ring, or this should be or this shouldn't be. People should understand, listen to understand first. Then you speak. First listen to understand, and turn around and speak and say your piece and find out what's going on. Let me see the comment from TechNet Beats. I know it's hard either way. Everyone loses except the lawmakers lining their pockets. Yeah, I mean, that can be said, as far as the lawmakers lining their pockets and stuff like that. That's something definitely that can be said about that. But, it's not just the lawmakers. You think about corporations as well. You think about, maybe rich folks that, want cheap labor. You think of whole industries, especially the farming industry. People forget about that. What's going on, Size Dad? Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you for being here on the late shift with Mel. Mel, appreciate you for coming through. Thank you. I mean, when you think about, one of the main industries that stand to gain and profit from this is the farming industry. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of undocumented workers, yeah, it's a touchy subject, Calvin Corner, but I was gonna say I'm a touchy guy, but nah, let me use another set of words. Yeah, it's a touchy subject, Calvin's Corner, but somebody has to talk about it. I think it's a situation where we lack communication and lack understanding as it pertains to the particular subject. It's not going to go away. Like Zuckerberg has to pay all these congressmen, Facebook is so much. Well, I think immigration and Facebook are two different things, but I see what you're saying. You're trying to pay off politicians and stuff like that. My thoughts on the immigration in America, in the United States, is that, yeah, there are parts of it that are screwed up, that are effed up, families being separated. Then there's the illegal part of it. You're taking advantage of it. It's not fair on either side. Like you said earlier in the conversation, taking that it beats. Everybody loses, except for the people that are profiting off of it. But I think nothing is getting solved if you don't address the problems. A lot of times you address their symptoms. You know, you say, okay, just take these kids and these families and send them back to this corrupt country, or where things are going on. I mean, but at the same time, if she came here illegally, it's not fair either. Did you look up the car? No, I did not. I did not look that up. Technetic Beats, but it's something I could definitely check out. There's so many stories as it pertains to immigration and just abuses and different things that are going on. So no matter what side of this you stand on, if you have human decency, in your heart, as a human being, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Technetic Beats. It's so much going on when it's up to immigration. I even didn't want to talk about it. That's why when Calvin's Corner said it's a touchy subject, I agree. It is a touchy subject, but somebody has to speak on it. Somebody has to, say something about it. At least as a regular person. I don't have all the answers, and I don't pretend to have all the answers. I just know it's not going away. It's not going to stop happening. Did you hear that the gang MS-13 traffics heroin on the kids? Yeah, I know about stuff like that, but what are you going to do? So when it comes to the gangs and stuff like that, that's another issue as well. When it comes to the MS-13 gangs, so now what do you do with the kid that's being used as a drug mule, right? And to be sent into the country, and you take that kid and you deport that kid back into the country with no drugs. Now you just basically sign the kid's death warrant, because now the drugs didn't get to where they were supposed to get to. Not saying I wanted them to, but then you take the kid, and you put him in custody, and then this person is here, and now it's a situation where you send them back because they're here illegally. So it's really touchy. It's really touchy. I mean, because you can't go into the country now and declare war on the cartels, because as United States citizens, or I guess law enforcement or whatever, that's going to start a war directly. So do you go start a war with Mexico? Because illegal immigrants are coming here and trying to traffic drugs and do particular things. It gets very touchy. Lama Monster says keep the kids safe somewhere like Vermont. Nothing else happens there. It's lovely in the fall. I bet it is lovely in the fall, but at the same time, it doesn't solve the problem, because what if MS-13 decides they want to come looking for the kid? I think immigration should be banned. We don't need more people here. I don't know. I don't know about that. Technetic Beats. The light of freedom is here and shining bright. It's a beacon, but it has to have limitations, or it's a free for all. Freedom was built, and it has to have rules. I agree with you, Calvin Corner. I agree with you 1,000%. My issue with the whole thing when it comes to immigration and everything is just that, particularly, I don't think the problem is being fixed on either side, be it Mexico, be it the United States. I think there's a lot of band-aids being put on there, and half-hearted, bills being pushed through Congress and whatnot, and a bunch of beautiful speeches that are being put out there. And, then families, have these exposés and these stories online, on the news, and, oh, this person was taken advantage of and that person was hurt. We are talking immigration versus infiltration. Well, I mean, it could be both. It could be a combination of both sides there, because when you talk about infiltration, you can talk about, gang culture and stuff like that coming in too. That's the bad part of it. Let me see what Lama Monster said. New Zealand was recently rated the freest country on earth. I think was still top 10. I don't know what that means, Lama Monster, but yeah, why not? uh, top 10 at what? I don't know. It's a combination of both. Yes, I agree. That's what I was just saying. That's what I was just saying. Technetic Beats. It's a combination of both. The infiltration of drugs, of gang culture, of the negativities that's coming into the country. Somebody's benefiting off of it. Some things are being allowed because there could be a blockade, there could be a stoppage of it. Somebody is benefiting off of these folks coming into the country illegally. So that's just one thing. I think the byproduct of that is that the kids and families are being separated and being hurt and used. So it's a very tough, it's a very touchy issue, as Calvin Corner said. And I agree. There has to be limitations. But I don't think that it's being addressed properly. I think what's happening is we're getting soft soaked on both sides. You're getting soft soaked from Mexico. You're getting soft soaked from the United States. I don't think they want the problem to go away, because there's somebody, in high places with deep pockets that are basically, profiting off of this situation. Maybe it's not comfortable for me to say. Maybe I shouldn't speak that. Somebody come after me. But the thing I'm saying is, I think we're being soft soaked as the American people, as the Mexican people on both ends, because you can't tell me that there's, you know, illegal drug mules and gangs coming into this country, and stuff being pushed back and forth with all this money and resources and stuff being brought through this country illegally, and it can't be stopped. The band-aids don't work when amputation is needed. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So that's what I feel. I feel that if it wasn't a potential to gain, if it wasn't potential for folks to profit, and thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that to the person that gave me the thumbs up, in the chat. I think if it wasn't some way for folks to profit off of this, then it would be over with. Believe me, if illegal immigration was not profitable for the United States and Mexico, it would not exist. That's the point that I try to get people to understand. It would not exist if it was not profitable. But politically, publicly, you know, it's a touchy subject because there are a lot of people who are American citizens who feel a type of way. There are people who are Mexican citizens who feel a different type of way about leaving, a corrupt government, and then people are saying, okay, there's corruption here. So there is something going on. There's something going on that's not being said and you seen, and it's not so pronounced, because every time you look at the politicians, it's something different. Calvin's Corner 72 says the moms and pops that brought their kids here illegally or came here illegally to birth them got what they wanted. The kids are Americans now, so if they have to split because laws were broke. Yeah, yeah. This is true. This is true. But believe me, it's deeper than that. In some instances, that's the case. That's definitely the case where people, are trying to make a better way for their family, and I get that. But the problem with that is, for every one family that is trying to, make a better way for their family, there's about five or six other instances where you have drugs coming in, you have gangs coming in, because a lot of people didn't even know who MS-13 was. I knew about it because I looked at gang culture, I researched stuff like that, seeing different Mexican mafias and Aryan nations and Bloods, Crips, Latin Kings. I'm into stuff like that, so I've heard of MS-13 long before this whole immigration thing was a bigger thing. But now people are starting to get to know them, and it's a big thing. MS-13 ain't going nowhere, because they already don't care. Parents can take a class, hell, they can take it in Spanish now, become a legit citizen, and now the problem is solved. That's why I was referencing. Yeah, I know what you were talking about. Size, it's just that it is a combination of both when it comes to that. That's interesting, Llama Monster, but it's not as simple as you may think. I feel they are preying on the sympathies of Americans, especially liberals. Well, this can be the case. This can be true, but I'll tell you like this, Calvin's Corner. Even if they're preying on the sympathy of liberals, which some are, many probably are, right? It still wouldn't happen if it wasn't profitable. Like I said, there's cheap labor that comes from this. There's an import of certain types of drugs, the drug trade that's there. There's the sex trafficking. There's so many different things that are coming through that are beneficial on the black market. That people are not paying attention to as it pertains to illegal immigration. So I could say, yeah, it's wrong for them to be here. They shouldn't be here. You should come here the right way. It should be documented. All this stuff. Come through the right way. Come through the front door instead of the back door under the tunnel with El Chapo. Come through the right way, right? Sounds good. Sounds great. But when you do that, then you start looking at the legal side of the process. When the United States would prefer somebody who's a physicist or a scientist or a business person over somebody who just happens to be, I guess a regular average families. So yes, in Florida, they bring them to pick up in the fields, and I've seen this firsthand. Yes, 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 yes. That's what I'm talking about, Calvin's Corner. If it wasn't profitable, especially for the farming industry, because answer me this, anybody, how many Americans, in this country actually want to go into the fields and pick cotton and pick corn and all kind of stuff? I know me, I don't want to go out there and pick cotton. I'm a black man, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of crazy. What's up, Christian Adventures? They pick fields in California too. I believe it, but didn't Trump say something about open border policy? If so, why build a wall? Well, Trump is saying the stuff about building a wall because that's what his constituents want. On one end, you may want to keep a certain type of people out and you want to look like you're against it. But how much are you really against it when the farming industry would be crippled? If you just totally stopped illegal immigration from coming into this country, the farming industry would be crippled. How you get your food, your produce, and all that stuff would be vastly affected. But people are not following the money. Follow the money. Look at your produce, look at your meats, look at how you have your display of all your natural fruits and vegetables. Look at that stuff, you know. So I mean, it gets real, you know. At the end of the tunnel, just say, Chapo, it's okay. Yeah, you say you're El Chapo. That's what the guns came out. You know, the Democrats have allowed their fringe elements to control the party, and they're out of control. That's one way of putting it, but it's deeper than that. Soros signs with lawyers advertising their services to help them get their papers. Yeah, well, Calvin's Corner, that's dangerous right now. You know, anybody trying to get their papers and trying to become an a legal citizen now because a lot of people are being deported and situations are happening behind the scenes. So on one end, you know, it's like, okay, we can't have the whole family come through, but on another instance, you know, we do need people to, you know, handle the produce. We do need people to, work our farming industry. Like I said, it has to be profitable for somebody. The government tells farmers what to grow, how much to grow, how to get money and food. Don't let this thinking make you turn. Nah, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to turn. I'm not trying to turn, Calvin. I'm just trying to say that if it wasn't profitable for somebody, there would be no illegal immigration. Now, am I saying it's right? No, I'm not saying it's right. Illegal immigration is illegal immigration. No, in Florida, I'm from Florida. Okay, got you. The government pays farmers compensation because the cost is higher than the payout. Well, think about that for a second. Take that it beats. If the cost is higher than the payout, right, and you're not getting that much money, why would you try to go out there and hire the regular American worker when it's talking about they want minimum wage? And minimum wage in most places is going up to $15 an hour. So I'm going to pay somebody $15 an hour to go out in the field and pick corn, and rice, and cotton, and all this other stuff, right? And I'm not getting a high payout. And I have all these rules and regulations, almost rivals that of a publicly traded company for big farms to run, you know? So it's kind of crazy. It believe me, I'm not trying to turn on anything Calvin's Corner. You know, I'm not trying to say, okay, I'm just sympathetic, let everybody in just because, you know, we have sympathies and we're the land of the free, the home of the brave, and all that. But what I am saying is the reasons I think personally why illegal immigration is still such a problem and still will go on and be prevalent for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years is because it has to be profitable on some level. There's some level where we as American workers do not want to do that type of work. You know, a lot of us may not want to be in the farming industry. A lot of us may not want to, do those particular things. And if we do get into farming, if we do get into naturally grown stuff on our own, that's for us and our family, our friends, our small community. You're not going to go and say, okay, now I'm going to start farming and trying to produce produce for the whole country. That's not everybody, that's just not everybody. You said, here comes AI. Well, yeah, AI is a part of it, but somebody has to maintain the AI. It's just that, I mean, think about it. I mean, you got robots out there picking and doing the stuff in the fields. Who's gonna, maintain the robots that are doing that? Democrats get lots of votes. That's why they want it so bad. Well, listen, if you're a Democrat and you're in a sanctuary city and saying that you support, immigrants, regardless of the situation, and you come from that spot where it's mostly like that, of course, the numbers are going to speak for themselves. If you're in a deep red state where you're against immigration, or they're for more border patrol and stricter gun laws, and really like upholding the Constitution and every Bill of Rights and everything that goes with that, then you're going to do that. It's politics. I mean, people are going to play politics with immigration. But the thing I hate when it comes to immigration, a lot of times that people don't want to talk about is the money aspect. If it was not profitable, it would not go on. I guarantee you. Farm foods, I mean, okay, got you. What's going on, Lonely Prepper? I recently had commercial farmers say outright that he'd have to close down if he couldn't hire illegals. Exactly, Lonely Prepper, and thank you for coming through with that. But people don't want to talk about that. The reality is that the farmers of America, if we want to talk about that, are not treated fairly. They're told what to grow, how to grow, when to grow it, how much to charge, and they have to make decisions. Believe me, there's a lot of American workers, especially coming from metropolitan cities, that do not want to do that type of work. So who else do you turn to? You turn to the illegal workers, which are here in droves, millions of them, and they're risking life and limb just to come here and be paid under the table and to be paid pennies on the dollar, if that. And then they have other issues that they have to worry about. And then think about it: you hire an illegal worker, you don't have to pay any benefits. You don't have to worry about their medical. There's no retirement plan. Your retirement plan is if you live and survive and not get caught and killed, then kudos to you. But people don't take time to look at the financial gain. And then here's the thing. So now you start saying, okay, let's go against the illegals, banish the illegals. Okay, cool. You better make sure that for the farming industry, you have people to replace them, because the U.S. government here keeps the farmers in debt, so they have to obey the tax cuts. Yes, but then that goes into a deeper problem. So now it just encourages folks to break the law because you have people being overly taxed, you have people stressed, you have farming conditions that are not right. There's many documentaries or plenty of things where they're showing how they're growing the food, they're mistreating the animals. It gets really deep. This issue gets really, really deep, but people don't want to get into it. It's just, okay, banish the illegals, get rid of the immigrants, and you're not thinking about the farmers. You're not thinking about how much it costs to get that produce to your table. What's going on, Hambricks? We late. Yeah, we up late, and we definitely up late. And I'm talking about a touchy subject, but I'm trying to, bring some sense and some clarity to what's going on. We're talking about immigration in the United States, specifically the illegal part of it. And people fail to look at the money aspect. They fail to look at the farming industry. They fail to look at how farmers are being taxed. This is a trickle down effect. It starts at the government level, and then it goes down to the farmers, and then it goes to the sex trade, the drug trade, the farming industry, the food industry. There are many people who benefit and profit off of having cheap laborers, in the system, whether they should be there legally or illegally. And it really, people reap the benefits of it, whether they want to admit it or not. Anytime you go to the supermarket and you get fresh produce, ask yourself, where did that come from? Ask yourself what farm. Ask yourself who paid for that. Ask yourself how much they pay their workers. We have Mexican people here getting SSI that never paid in anything. Well, that's a part of that too. Mexico filed a complaint with U.S. against Arizona for sending back illegals. Reason because then Mexico has to help the families that were getting U.S. dollars. Yes, and that's another issue too. So I'm glad Lonely Prepper brought that part of it up, because what happens now when you start to send the illegals back, to to Mexico, now Mexico has to be responsible for taking care of them. But what people are not realizing is that a large portion of U.S. dollars are being sent to Mexico to help other families, and it's becoming a large portion, a stimulus package almost to the Mexican economy. So now you look at Mexico. Mexico has something to gain because people who come here traditionally, illegal immigrants, are being encouraged now to send money back home. And this is not happening like one family, two family. We're talking about maybe couple of 100,000 families doing this a year, almost a couple of million families doing this a year. So if you're taking millions of American dollars and you're sending it back to Mexico and it's stimulated in a sense the Mexican economy, why, as the Mexican government, would you want these illegals back? Lama Monster says after World War II, Truman kicked out tons of Mexicans and they were working jobs while the guys were at war. People were acting like this was a new thing. No, it's not a new thing. Fed is fixing, is getting rich, helping send money home to their families. Well, it's true. It's true. Like I said, it's a system. It's a revolving door. Like I said, follow the money, follow the influence, follow the control. Follow the corruption in the system. I mean, it's a lot of it going on all the way around. You can't just talk about the corruption in the system in Mexico. You talk about the corruption in the system in the United States. There's a corruption in the system, built into the system. So as much as people may be upset and mad and angry and stuff like that, there's something built into the system for people to profit and get low, cheap labor, in the United States. And then in Mexico, you get US dollars to stimulate the economy that may not be producing, much of anything. Maybe they make some stuff. It's made in Mexico and put together cheaply or whatever, another plant or something that comes through. But, and then when you turn around and say, okay, well, let's go to Mexico and rebuild Mexico up and own property and do stuff there, they make it hard as hell for you to try to, get property and, go to Mexico, try to defect to Mexico, try to get into Mexico illegally. You'll see what happens. Like I said, you try to cross the border into Mexico, you may be signing a death warrant. But when it comes to the U.S., it's a different story, and it's still happening by the millions in the droves. There's a reason for it. There's something behind it, and people don't pay attention. They don't open their eyes. They don't look at it. There's a reason why illegal immigration is still going on for most of our lives, for all of us. Everybody in this chat, whether they want to admit it or not, at some point has heard or seen about illegal immigration 2 or 3 times in their life, and it's not going away. All of our lives, we're different ages in the chat, and all of our lives, we've heard or seen about illegal immigration in one form or another. Had a friend or somebody we knew. They work here 10 to 15 years and send money back to the guy in their homeland and retire there in Mexico, but not as long as we're giving them free money or groceries. They're not gonna leave. Well, I mean, there's, there's a reason for it, Calvin. There's a reason for it. Of course, they wouldn't leave because if the system is being set up for them to benefit from it, as long as they take the low ball, the low end of the stick, and even undercut the American worker, why not? Why not? If somebody comes into this country and they're willing to take a lower wage and they're willing to, fight and go through, risk getting killed to help their family, and they can send money back to their country, and this is a big part of what's going on with their family and their family coming up, why would they want to? So it's a situation. It's a more systemic problem. Something that's going on with the system itself. I think that there may be a point there, Calvin. Definitely, but definitely Calvin's brought up some great points. All of you have brought up great points. But my thing is, look at the money. Follow the money. Follow the money. See who is profiting off of immigration, and you'll see why the problem still exists. Don't look at solely just the people coming in illegally and the folks talking heads, on the camera and stuff like that. Look at where the money is going. But we get somebody in there, Trump says it speaks to fix it, and someone starts crying, it's stupid. Well, here's why people may cry against what Trump is saying, because he's treating the symptoms. Sending people back is treating the symptoms. Sending folks back is not addressing the fact that you got to replace those workers, those cheap laborers who are working in industries where people are hurting, be it tourism or be it, the food industries, be it farming industries, be it hotel industries, industries where traditionally American workers may not be, favorable to going to seek employment unless they have to. So you have all these low paying or supposedly menial jobs, that are being filled by, undocumented workers and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, Trump comes and says, okay, deport all the illegals. Okay, you could deport all the illegals, but then you got to remember this can cripple the economy, the American economy, and at the same time, it creates a situation for Mexico. So sending them back is SOP. So always has been, So I mean, it. I have to agree with you. I mean, it's just one of those things where you could do it, but it's going to create a lot of problems because you have to fix the system. You have to fix the system in America. You have to fix a broken system in Mexico. If you don't, mm, that's all he can do, and better than nothing. His hands are tied, just like when we wanted to keep out the Muslims and stop. Well, I mean, that's a more touchy issue because now you come to a point where As it pertains to the Muslims, now you're talking about terrorism and, xenophobia or Islamophobia versus, illegal immigration. There are people, who may be radicalized and don't want to deal with that. It's just they're more focused now on crybabies. Well, I mean, I just think regardless of whether it's Muslim, whether it's illegal immigrants, I think that the issues are not being addressed properly. I think there's band-aids being put on them. I think people are treating the symptoms. I think folks are doing a lot of talking, and there's a lot of rhetoric floating back around. There's a lot of finger pointing as politicians do. There's a lot of easy solutions where it's seeming like if you just deport this one or ban that one from coming in, it may solve the problem. And realistically, it won't, because if you try to ban them and send them back, then there's people who will definitely try to keep coming in illegally. Breaking down America from the inside is what is happening. So it's a form of terrorism. Well, I mean, some people could definitely, argue that, and I'm not going to say that's not something that's not happening, but it also comes down to being aware and how involved are people into the political process. How aware are people, as far as how bills and laws are passed? Do people pay attention to the economy, the environment? And a lot of times people don't. A lot of times people don't pay attention to what's going on. It's kind of crazy. The louder you pound your high chair, the more nonsense is pushed by the media. Well, unfortunately, that's the case. But it's a situation where a lot of things are not getting done. People are still getting voted into office. Taxpayers' dollars are still going to waste. People are still taking advantage of the system. Folks are still, undercutting folks, that are really trying to make a difference. And folks are still not paying attention as they should, to what's really happening and going on in society. It's kind of sad because, these are things that can get solved. These are things that really have real solutions to them. But the reality is some people want to go to the extremes. I agree, Calvin, is ours. We appreciate the history of our founders, our country, and what it took to happen. I understand. I am frustrated as well. Yes, people taking advantage. Yeah, there's people taking advantage, but there's people taking advantage on both sides. See, when it comes to the immigration issue, I don't want to paint it as there's just people taking advantage on the Mexican side or the Mexican side of the border. There's people taking advantage who are American citizens on the American side of the border as well. There are people who are sending a profit off it. Like I said, follow the money. You want to know what this immigration thing is about? Follow the money. Follow the money. Find out who stands to profit the most off of these things, and you will find out who the real problem is. And it may surprise you. It may shock you. It's not the people that you think. Some people holler the liberals, this, that, and the third. While they may be misguided and while they may, be out there at times, it may not be the people that you think. Sometimes it's the wolf in sheep's clothing. The ones that are quote unquote making America great again, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, not to knock anybody or tear anybody down. I mean, shout out to all the people out there that's doing their thing. I'm not saying any Trump supporters are evil and stuff like that. Everybody has their thing that they want to do. I'm just saying that when it comes down to immigration, be it legal or illegal, look at where the money is going. Who stands to profit? Who stands to lose on taking away illegal immigration? Look at the people that are fighting and lobbying against it. Look at the people that are lobbying and fighting for it. Usually, the people that are fighting for it are the ones who probably stand to lose the most by having it here. Usually, the people that are fighting for it are the ones that stand to profit from having it here and lose the most from having it leave. And people don't pay attention to that. That's why I have a problem sometimes when people just scream, deport them or ban this one or do that. Because, yeah, while that may be a solution, that is not the solution, and it puts a blanket and a broad brush over everybody. I worked all my life ever since I was a kid. My vote, I feel I don't count. It was disrespectful. It was distasteful, very distasteful and frustrating. Well, a lot of people felt that way, Calvin. A lot of people felt that way. I mean, your vote does matter. It does count. It just may not. It just may not matter in the way that you think. But I believe that the process is still there. Do you have a problem with Latinos in this country? I love Latinos. My last girlfriend was Latina, was she? Yeah. My last girlfriend was Cuban. So I love the people, you know. Me too. It's a great talk. Thanks. So, well, yeah. Thank you, Calvin, and I appreciate you for being here. I didn't want to stir up any deep emotions or any crazy things. I mean, I just try to have these conversations and whatnot. I have no problems with all people. If anybody that comes into the country, you know, they come illegally. I mean, or legally, you know, I mean, I'd rather them come legally, you know, but I'm not, you know, trying to hate on any particular group of people that come into the country. I love all different types of people. You know, as long as you're not hateful or you're just trying to destroy American culture, you know, because it is a blessing to be born in this country, especially legally. You know, it is a special thing to come from America, regardless of the country, the state. You know that you're in. You know, Providence. You know, was country America, but it is a blessing. You know, it definitely is a blessing to be from here. You know, we do have our issues. I'm not going to say that we don't. You know, it's just one of those things, though. You know, when you look at it and you start looking at immigration, it is a very complex issue because so many different things. There's so many facets to it. There's so much that's going on. There's so much that is a smokescreen. You know, just saying, okay, the illegals by themselves is just the whole issue. It says, I don't care for a person if green with if you're purple, but with that, if they have the paperwork, then they're welcome. That is interesting. I believe you on that, Lama Master. Love the culture. I speak Spanish. It's not that. It's just that drag down my country and take more than you give legally. Well, that's always a problem. That I mean, but that could be said for American citizens if you want to talk about that, Calvin. There's American citizens, people who were born in this country for many years who've abused the welfare system. There's a people that have, put drugs into the community. There are people who legally who have been here who have taken advantage and scammed on tax fraud and tax evasion and stuff like that. There's corruption in the country, whether there's illegals doing it or not. Fill out paperwork and pay taxes and follow laws like allows. Yeah, I mean, see, that's one way of looking at it. But the reality is, whether the people are legal or illegal, there are people who take advantage of the system every day. I guess it's just even more insult to industry. I mean, to industry to injury when they come from another country. So it's kind of crazy like that. But I just say to anybody out there, if you really want to know what this is about, follow the money. Who stands to gain? Who stands to lose off of illegal immigration? Who stands to profit off of legal immigration? And who stands to lose money? And you'll find out who the culprits are. You'll find out who's lying to you. Find out which politicians are just giving you a song and a dance. Because you can't tell me, with all this military technology that we have, with all the surveillance, with the lack of privacy, with all the social media, with all the stuff, we can find out, when our favorite celebrity had a baby, and when this one is cheating on that one, and all of a sudden, we can't stop immigration. Come on, you can't stop illegal immigration. Come on, lots of hardworking people here, and I am. Can't take that away from them, but legally, it's the right thing to do. Money is the key. Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, listen, I'm not saying I'm for illegal immigration. I believe, yes, people should come into the country legally. They should. That's my stance. But I'm not going to be naive as to think that people are not going to be allowed to come into the country illegally because somebody is profiting off of it. And that's just the truth. Look, see, if you want to talk about that, let's go into a lot of corporations, and I agree with you on that, Lonely Prepper. The corporations have a lot to gain from this. There are a lot of corporations in the United States over the years, over the generations or whatever, who have went offshore, went to other countries to try to, pay less taxes. So if there are major Fortune 500 companies that literally set up corporations overseas to avoid paying taxes and having to pay more money, why wouldn't there be corporations, those same corporations inside of the United States using illegal workers, as a chief source of income? I mean, as a chief source of labor, in a major way. So it, like I said, I can't knock one without coming at the other. I can't say, okay, the people coming in illegal and they're wrong, and then not come at the people who are allowing it to happen and act like they're just innocent. So these people come here and get jobs, and they just what are they doing? They're just magically making this money? No, they're not. They're not coming here illegally and just manage. I mean, I can see if they were coming here and they were robbing banks and going into people's houses and taking stuff. So it's kind of crazy. It takes about 8 years to become a citizen plus thousands of dollars. Most people can't afford it. I agree with you. It's a slap in the face to other countries that want to come here, but just because they don't have the land to walk over here, they have the right to do it. No, they don't have the right to do it, Calvin's corner, but it's convenient. So what they do, ultimately, the globalists and one world government type folks will gain the most as weak Americans. America is easy to control. Well, you probably wanted something here. Lots of hardworking people here. Yeah, I got that comment. It's a touchy subject because it's a lot to it. It's so many moving parts to it that when you put it together, you'll see that the illegal immigrant is just one piece on the board. They're the pawn on the board. Like I said, I'm not saying it's right to have illegal immigration, but when you look at the broader scope, when you look at the kings, the queens, the bishops, the knights, the rooks, you'll start looking now at the illegal immigrant as the pawn on the board, and they're being moved and used in different types of ways. And then you start thinking to yourself, you say, wow, this is deeper than I thought. When people look at immigration in the United States, maybe this is not popular to say, it's a lot deeper than you think. It's not just, immigration doesn't start and end with people coming over the border and going across the border and doing that. That's just the beginning, or that's just the middle part of it. Like I said, that you're seeing a lot of other things. I mean, there's a lot of other things you don't see behind the scenes that are contributed to these people coming over here and seeing opportunities. So people get used and manipulated. Illegal immigrants coming over here get manipulated. Most people don't know that some of these folks are coming over here and they have to pay a debt. So if I got over here, I risked my life to get to America. Now I owe a debt to the person that's taking me in, and I have to pay off that debt first before I can start the profit. So let's say that debt is $20,000. I risked my life and I was smuggled into the country by a handler. So I'm smuggled into this country by a handler, right? And this handler is telling me that I have to pay off a debt of $20,000 to $30,000 before I can make a dime off of anything else, or else I'll be killed. That's another part of it. And sometimes that person could be another Spanish folk, in a gang or something. Sometimes that person could be American or whatever. So now they're dealing with that whole situation on top of having to worry about being, captured and killed or hurt up by an American citizen that's overzealous or being separated from their family if they're with their family. So it's a really deep issue, and that's just the ground level stuff. We're not even going into the deeper stuff. Like I said, I don't know, man. Legal Mexican and other legal should be made at the illegal because it makes people profile them because they can't tell if they're legal or not. This is true. This is true. Sometimes, when people are walking around, sometimes you can't tell, but that's crazy. It's I don't know. So as it says, funny thing, worked 48 years and retired now. Pay my dues. Plus, pisses me off when I see newcomers. Anyone get it for free. Yeah, I mean, but the thing you got to understand, size that is that it's deeper than them coming in and getting it for free because they have to be allowed to take advantage of the system by somebody. It's like if I come into your house, let's say I break into your house, right? And I start going in your refrigerator, wearing your clothes, living the life, doing whatever you have to do. At some point, you have to do something to stop me. Now, if I keep coming into your house and breaking into your house and using and taking advantage of your house that you pay for and pay property taxes on, at some point, you become a participant. So, how long is America the victim of it and not a participant in the illegal immigration? I mean, you can't tell me that millions of people are coming here and there's nobody in this country participated in that illegal immigration coming to this country. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe it's just a one-sided issue where folks are coming into this country and just taking advantage and getting stuff for free when they're sanctuary cities. Nobody's really addressing this not deeply. I mean, Trump says some things on it, but then, what's to say on his end? He doesn't stand to gain by deporting people out and bringing in his people. So who knows? There's different agendas. There's different people on both sides of the issue. And folks act like that there's just okay. It's just the illegal immigrants. No, it's not. It's so much more to it. It's so much deeper. so much deeper than I can even go in on a live stream. I don't have enough time. I could go 8 hours and I still wouldn't be able to get into, the real nuts and bolts of this thing. I would still scratch just the surface of it. Sanctuary cities are treason. Some people feel that way. Some of them that work here can't speak English. I don't like it. That's not safe. Nor for me, can I read or write even? Well, some people say that, but it's a deeper issue. It's definitely a deeper issue. I mean, that requires a lot of understanding, a lot of attention to detail, a lot of real soul searching, for America and and Mexico, and at the core of it, at the heart of it, and whatnot. It is real like that. Definitely real like that. I mean, I look at it and I say, if folks only understood, if folks only understood. I mean, I'm very passionate about this issue because there's so much to it, and there's so much people are missing. There's so many misdirections. There's so many smoke screens as it pertains to that. You know, if Congress was to make English the official language, then all the extra Spanish printed stuff would probably disappear. Well, I mean, you could do that. You could say that. I mean, it is something that could be out there, but what is that going to solve? What is that going to solve? I mean, okay, so now you know the language, but you're still coming in illegally. Let me tell you something, guys, please. Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening, Calvin's Corner. I'm waiting for it to come. I mean, I know this has got you riled up, got a lot of folks riled up. Talking about immigration can get a lot of emotions and feelings out there and whatnot. So I'm definitely interested and grateful to you folks for coming in, because I tell you honestly, I didn't know if anybody was going to come in for this conversation. It was late. It's late in the morning. I'm like, I don't know if anybody want to talk about immigration at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm waiting for you, Calvin's Corner. I know you're probably typing out. Radford has signs explaining how to use commode. They don't know how to use it. Yeah, yeah. That's one issue, but I think on that scale, it's really a smaller piece of the pie in comparison to what really is going on. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on when it comes to immigration. There's a lot of hypocrisy as opposed to what's actually said publicly and what goes on privately or behind closed doors. There's a lot of hypocrisy. I mean, don't believe everything you read. Don't believe half of what you hear. I mean, don't believe everything you see, man. I mean, when it comes to legal immigration, when it comes to legal immigration, believe none of what you see and half of what you hear. There's more Spanish farms at the local job center than English. Well, I mean, of course there would be. Of course there would be more Spanish farms because it's something that's set up that way. Proclaiming a national language would infringe upon states' rights. That would be a state level decision, just like healthcare. Well, we see how the healthcare thing worked out, so I'm not even going to go there. Who knows? Maybe one day I might have to do a live stream about healthcare. I try to get on the hot button topics and stuff like that. One of these days, I may venture into religion, politics and stuff like that. But some people say immigration is politics at its not at its best, but at its most raw. Because there's a lot of raw emotions and feelings when it comes to immigrations. To the point where we can have a 3-8. This is how you know how deep immigration is, right? We're all having a heated discussion at 3 a.m. on a damn live stream. That's how deep this thing is. I mean, there's some passionate things being said in this chat, and all the stuff of great points being made. That's how deep this is. And I'll be honest with you, I did not expect all you folks to be here, but it is what it is. They had to put the sign up in English, so not to be racial or one-sided, but to me, it's a slap in the face. We never had the problems in the bathroom until it's bad. Wow. Um, wow. That's a deep one, Calvin. That's a deep one, Calvin. A lot of people may feel some type of way about that, but it's We live in a different world, man. We live in a different world. We just do. I mean, I guess we try to make it to be understanding. They throw people on the floor because always use it in the past. Explain. Yeah, this is true. This is true. But that's when it comes to communication, Calvin's Corner. You try to communicate with people and teach folks and whatnot. Try not to vilify people, and let them know it takes time. It takes time because it's not a situation that's going away. You know, um, Healthcare would be a good one. Well, we're gonna have to talk about healthcare eventually. Besides that, that's something I talk about. That's gonna be a heated one that I have to really get ready for. I'm not ready for a healthcare discussion on the live stream. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I know folks is coming for that one. I know they're coming for that one, and I know you have some definitely, definitely some strong views on that. But as for what you were saying, anyways, it's cool. Thanks. Healthcare is bad enough. Yeah, but we need to talk about it. We need to talk about healthcare because healthcare is atrocious right now. I think healthcare in this country is the worst it's ever been. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. Listen, even in the Obama years, I mean, premiums going up, and cost us to just get medication and stuff like that, and then the open market, and then like Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, forget it. Forget it. And then it's kind of crazy. We pay the most in healthcare of any country, still. With all the nonsense and everything. I mean, we pay the most, even for the generic drugs. Which is kind of crazy, man. It's like, damn, can we get a break? So if I'm dying and I have an ailment and I have a disease or something, and I can't afford it, I guess I die in the street. So, or at least if they give me something, I have a big medical hospital bill, something like that. But I digress from that situation for the sake of this live stream, which I'm surprised. It's very impassioned and bolden from you folks and whatnot. I didn't know who was going to come through. I really did. But as far as immigration, it's a touchy subject. And Calvin's Corner, I know this is a touchy subject because I got Calvin's Corner to stay here and give some very emboldened and passionate thoughts, and I appreciated it definitely. It's definitely some understanding needed on both sides of the issue. On all sides of the issue. And I think we first need to see each other as human beings, regardless of who's here legally or illegally, regardless of the culture or what language is spoken. We definitely come from different backgrounds. We definitely have issues with each other. It's definitely something that needs to be understood about what American culture is, and how we do things, how we treat each other. Whether it's not always right because you have issues of racism, prejudice, bigotry, hatred, equality, and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, I can go there. That's funny. That's funny. Sí, señor. Sí, señor. Sí, señor Calvin. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Calvin, man. Calvin. You're a good guy, man. You're a good guy. I love you, brother. I love you. I love you. Oh my God. I'm almost about to wrap this up. I'm not gonna make this more than an hour live stream. I know how impactful this is. I honestly, I swear to you, I'm thinking to myself when I started this, I was like, is anybody gonna come through? I was like, I don't know. I think Tech Dead and Beats or somebody come through, and I seen Caesar come through. And I'm like, all right, cool. I thought this was gonna be a 3-person chat, and we just was gonna leave it at that. But yeah, you folks are really passionate about this. I don't know if you want to talk about immigration again. I don't know if you really want to talk about healthcare, but that's something eventually we'll talk about. Going to, I know I go into some abstract things, but for the most part, I'm just doing my thing, just trying to have conversations that people need to have. I like to talk about the touchy subject, the controversial issues, because if you got a platform, you might as well say it. You might as well use it. Yeah, I love me some Calvin's Corner too. And the good thing about Calvin's Corner is that he can say a serious thing with a smile. I wish he would have hit the jackpot on that lottery though. He might have needed a bodyguard or some product protection. He has me inspired to do like I'm gonna have to do a scratch off ticket video too. Blowing up that. Oh my God. Yeah. It's all good as long as you shake it for the right reasons. Just shake it off, go around the corner, take a dip in the water, or something like that. Oh my God. Oh my God. VA versus illegal versus healthcare. Oh my God. If we talked about the VA, I'm getting all the veterans out there now, man. Oh my God. I mean, that is a conversation to have. There's so many issues to talk about, but I know I'm going to have to start addressing some of this stuff because there's a lot of stuff that people have on their minds that they want to express, a lot of things that they want to talk about, and there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about too, because this is the only way you come to some kind of consensus. Stuff gets really done, or stuff gets hashed out, or people at least get to vent certain things. I mean, I try not to just vent, but I know there's things that need to be said. There's things that Calvin needed to say. There's things that his dad needed to say. There's things that Lama Masa needed to say. You got a hillbilly speaking Spanish. That's how it's happening. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, suavecito, senor, suavecito. Nice and easy. Oh my God. Like I said, but it's you folks that made this conversation what it is. All of you folks in the chat, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the participation and everything that you brought to this beautiful conversation. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now, unfortunately, it's time for me to get some sleep and get some rest. Thank you for coming by. Um, as always, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Thank you for being here. I got to cut out the light for dramatic effect. Wow, we really did talk about that. Immigration is a hot subject. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, that reshare. You know? Yeah, yeah. Come on.